Blessings bakhanyiselwa. Welcome back to our video series on the ancestral cloths in Ngubo Zedlozi. Today we are talking about this cloth right here, the crocodile cloth. The crocodile cloth is a very sacred cloth, and it is a very important cloth because it outlines some of the most important and deepest mysteries of initiation. The crocodile is an ancient animal. It is an ancestral animal, right? This cloth is for those type of initiates that get initiated underwater and they come back as fully fledged healers. The crocodile is an amphibian, which means it can live inside water and outside on dry land. This now makes it a perfect animal to represent an initiate who goes in and out of water. And when we look at the cloth itself, we see two crocodiles. One is going into the water and the other is coming out of the waters. Meaning the initiates of this cloth go underwater and they stay there for a while and then they come back ready to work as healers. These initiates may stay underwater for even more than a year or sometimes less than a year, 6 months to even 3 days, right? Or even a day. This varies from person to person. This is the very same initiation that is outlined through the story of Jonah in the Bible. Jonah was initiated for 3 days underwater, and he came back as a fully fledged messenger of God, a fully fledged prophet. So Jonah was an underwater initiate. In truth, the crocodile is actually the guardian of this underwater initiation, if we may say. And this particular initiation stands on its own. It has its own custodian and its own underwater spirits. Even in Kemu, there was a Sobek who was once worshipped and was known as the god of the Nile River. The elders of Kemu knew about this underwater initiation, right? And a lot of people, some people used to be initiated in the Nile River, right? They would be taken by these underwater creatures and they would be given much knowledge, just as it is still happening to this day. There are a lot of things happening in the Nile River and people still get taken to be initiated beneath the Nile River. The crocodiles are the guardians of underwater initiation. That is why even in Kemu, Sobek was also known as the god of healing and the god of the underworld. It was believed that when a soul is found unworthy in the scales of Ma'at, it would be devoured by Sobek. I'm saying this because there is actually a demoness who is called Amit. And she was the one that was actually known to devour the heart that is heavier than the feather of Ma'at. This demon was half crocodile, half lion, and half hippopotamus. In the not so olden days of Africa, if you break the law, you were sometimes fed to the crocodiles as punishment. Usually, places that are infested with crocodiles are also infested with hippopotamuses. So sometimes you would be killed by the hippos before being eaten by the crocodiles. And in other tribes, a person would be fed to the wild animals in the bush, like more especially the lions. So now we have the crocodiles, we have the hippos, and we have the lions, used as punishment for those who break the law. In the Bible, we also find the story of Daniel, who was punished this way. He was thrown into a den of lions because he disobeyed the law. This was real in the olden tribes. So that's why in ancient Egypt we see the crocodile, the lion, and the hippo represented as one Amit, a demon who devours evil hearts. So now, in all of this, the crocodile actually stands out because in most of our local languages, the word for crocodile actually means the devourer. Just like Amit, like the word ingwenya or gwena, they both mean the devourer. This is why I associate Amit with Sobek, because the one feature that dominates Amit is her crocodile feature, which is like the devourer. So this is like this also means that the crocodiles actually feed off negative energy in some way. And as I said, this initiation stands on its own and is different from any other because it is specifically guarded by the crocodiles, Usobek. And yet at the same time, this cloth also touches upon the other cloths in some way. It also stands with the other cloths. And I'll explain this later. The initiates of this cloth may dream of crocodiles, underwater serpents, or going underwater, or being taken underwater by a river serpent. Not everybody gets taken by these beings, and it is rare to be taken when no one in your family has never been taken before. Right, so there has to be one in your family that has undergone the same process. Some people get taken physically, others may be taken there spiritually, right, to be initiated. A person can go there through dreams or through astral projection. And these experiences are as valid and as real as being taken there physically, right? This is because when you wake up from such an experience, you come back as a different person. There are certain changes that may also be there. You may be able to do certain things or have spiritual abilities or have some exclusive knowledge that you didn't have before, right? Sometimes such people may be taken during a life-threatening sickness or a situation, like that old grandmother who was in a coma for like 5 days, and during those days she says she was spiritually taken underwater to be initiated. So this cloth right here is for those initiates who are taken underwater to be activated by the alien gods, specifically the reptilian gods. Now, these reptilians, these crocodiles, are very, 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 very tricky, actually. I will not lie. Their knowledge has a very dark mood. As much as they can heal you, their mood has a very dark one, right? Their healing comes with a lot of darkness. I'm saying this because they lean towards the sorcery. They teach initiates how to heal and how to bewitch without teaching initiates how to ma'at and how to ubuntu, how to practice ubuntu, right? And this is one way to create chaos, really, giving someone absolute power without giving them self-control, ubuntu ma'at. That's why these beings can teach you everything, but they rarely teach initiates about ascension, although this cloth does have its own ascension, mind you. When we look at the symbols of this cloth, we can see that there are symbolic patterns printed all around the cloth. Like all the other cloths, this cloth has its own positive and negative side. Actually, we haven't really touched upon the negative side of these cloths. We are coming to those teachings. On the patterns around the cloth, we see two types of crosses. We see the plus sign cross and we see an X cross. right? The plus sign looking cross is commonly known as the Christian cross, and it's also used in Bantu petroglyphs as a symbol of healing, and it is used as a symbol of blessings, right? The X cross represents death, which is used for cursing and for bewitching, right? Meaning that the beings that are underwater, they teach initiates how to heal and how to bewitch. They teach the positive and they teach the negative, represented by these two types of crosses. This X is actually a warning sign, right? The underwater beings are very, very tricky, bakanyeselo. We are not like them and they are not like us, right? Even when they teach initiates how to heal, theirs comes with a different mood. As much as they can teach people how to heal, they lean mostly towards the sorcery and the witchcraft. Theirs has a very dark mood. Like they can teach and initiate how to mix human body parts with herbs, or how to mix human fat with herbs to heal certain sicknesses. This is what I mean when I say their knowledge has a dark mood. Their healing is imbued with a lot of sorcery. So when dealing with this cloth and when dealing with these beings, you must be very careful. These beings can be very tricky. They are very ancient beings. They live longer than us. They are more intelligent. They are well versed with spiritual knowledge and the knowledge of the world. So you can imagine the kind of advantage that they have over us. They can trick us, they can manipulate us, and they can control us. Going back to the symbols of this cloth, yes, the two crocodiles do represent the initiate who goes in and out of water, but at the same time it represents the guardians of the portal, the two guardians of the underwater portal. This portal is a doorway that leads to the underwater realms. These two guardians are actually serpents, but they can shapeshift, they can take any form. With the exclusion of fishes, most water spirit beings are under the rule of the crocodile. And when you get initiated underwater by these beings, you enter into a soul contract with them. When you do this, you are basically selling your soul. And if we translate the phrase selling your soul in Zulu, it would be uthengisa idlozi lakho. Idlozi is the soul. This means now your personality is no longer yours, and these beings now have total control over you. These beings have a lot of trickery. They have a lot of trickery. So be careful with these water spirit beings. You must discern them. When these initiates go underwater for initiation, they are given what we can call the eye of the reptile. And it is this eye that gives these initiates their many powers. Right? This is not the eye of Itongo, mind you. It is the eye of the Chitahuri, the eye of the reptile. There are basically three of these eyes. It's the eye of Itongo, the eye of Idlozi, and the eye of the reptile. Or sometimes I call them the eye of the sheep, the eye of the goat, and the eye of the reptile. Maybe we can make a post on this sometime, but for now we are here on the eye of the reptile. So the initiates of this cloth, when they go underwater, they are given the eye of the reptile, and through this eye they can do a lot of things. Even when you look into the eyes of these initiates, in fact, after being initiated by these beings, their eyes, right, they usually give a feeling of snake eyes, right? Because once you get initiated by these beings, they take over your personality and your personality naturally shines through your eyes. So it's like they gave you their eyes. And for the little power that they gave, these entities actually take a lot from the initiates, especially in terms of energy. That's why I said they have a lot of trickery. They don't tell you these things. They usually disguise themselves as human ancestors, but as time goes, they reveal themselves. They have to, right? And these are the creatures that usually bring sangomas to violent deaths. Even Credo Mutwa once spoke about this. Credo Mutwa says, when you are an ordinary sangoma, you are guided by what are called your ancestral spirits. But when you reach a certain level, you become guided by creatures that you accept as your ancestral spirits, but that are really not your ancestral spirits. Some of these creatures which masquerade as ancestral spirits are parasites from other dimensions that victimize, manipulate, and control sangomas and can even bring us to violent deaths. So now you understand what I mean by saying these creatures have a lot of trickery, and one should always be very, very careful when working with such creatures. In Egypt, there was an initiation that we can call intwaso yokundlula esweni lengwenya, the initiation of passing through the eye of the crocodile, where initiates would swim through a lot of crocodiles as part of their initiation, right? Some have died undergoing such procedures, as you might imagine, but many would survive and would become the high priests of Sobek after undergoing such initiations. There was also a place in the temple of Komombo where there was this is the temple of Sobek, right? Komombo, where there was a pool that looks exactly like this, right? In fact, Chunvelo Melchizedek also talks about this. It looks like this, and or rather it looked like this, and there would be crocodiles all over here, and then the initiates would have to enter from this side, right, and swim all the way down there, and then he would come out from beneath. And when he comes out from beneath, he will be probably shocked and extremely startled because he will encounter a lot of crocodiles, right? And if he loses his breath in being shocked, he will obviously drown. So he has to keep his posture and find his way out, which would be right here, right over there. And in going into this opening, he would be able to swim up to the other side. So you're basically moving from this side, right, all the way to the other side. This is but a symbolic way of undergoing an underwater initiation, though it is as life-threatening as the real one, as you might imagine. And it was taken to be as valid as the real one because you have literally ventured underwater and have encountered the crocodile. Now, on the other hand, on the lighter side, we already know that we are underwater even as we speak, which means that we are actually being initiated underwater, all of us as humanity. Now, these are the teachings of the ascension of this cloth. As I said, this cloth has the positive and the negative. Even in Egypt, in the temple of Sobek, this temple is actually made up of light and darkness. It combines the mysteries of Heru and the mysteries of Sobek, which is the light and the dark. The Abangoma Abafihliweyo say we entered into a cosmic ocean of creation, right? Only to come out of the water through death and ascension. And when we come out of the waters, we are more experienced and we are more enlightened. This is the same with the initiates of this cloth. They go underwater and they come out with new knowledge and new enlightenment. We as humanity are also undergoing this process of learning under the waters of creation, right? And at the end, we shall emerge out of the waters through ascension. Another sacred symbol of the underwater initiate, the initiates of this cloth, is this one right here. If we look at this image right here with what we already know about the cloth, we see that there's the very same thing that's happening, right? This is an image of an initiate emerging out of the waters after being initiated by the crocodile. The two faces at the opposite end represent the two guardians of the underwater portal. It is they who will lead the initiates to the crocodile custodian. Plus, when you look at these faces, they also seem to look like an open mouth with something coming out of it, right? This discloses a very, very deep mystery about the initiates of this cloth. This mystery has to do with Jonah in the Bible, right? Jonah was swallowed by a big fish, and then this big fish also spat him out. But here we are not talking about the fish, right? We are talking about the reptilians, the serpents, the crocodiles, etc. Maybe I shouldn't even be using Jonah as an example, and yet I can, since he was taken by the waters and he was also swallowed up. Otherwise, there is a cloth that is connected to those type of initiates who are specifically connected to the fishes, right? So this image right here discloses the mystery of underwater initiation. This has to do with the fact that these initiates get swallowed and spat out by the reptilians, usually by a gigantic snake. Once you undergo this process, your initiation is basically done. In this way, you would have attained the power or the energy of the snake, and it will be with you wherever you go. Those who are able to see spiritually, when they look at you, they will also see a snake, right? Or an image of a snake imposed upon your own image. For this and many reasons is why I said this initiation is different. It has its own mood, and it is a dark one indeed. Such mysteries are very much connected to the mysteries of the witches, because this is exactly how witches work. They work closely with the eye of the reptile. On a much broader scale though, on this cloth we may also include those type of initiates who get abducted by alien beings. Some people may disappear in the waters, others may disappear in the bush, others get taken by the mountain and are taken underground, others may disappear in the caves, etc. All these people are taken by alien beings, and some of these beings have been here since a long time ago, like the crocodiles who have been here since the time of the dinosaurs. Right? So this cloth is for those initiates who undergo the initiation of abduction. These initiates are taken by different beings and they get directly initiated by these beings. In other initiation schools, you'll find that their preparatory phase is based on preparing initiates so that they can have a direct encounter with these beings. They train you up until a certain level. When they know that you are ready, they take you to a secret place where now you will have a direct encounter with the custodian of their initiation, who is an alien being. Then after this encounter, you are considered a fully fledged member of that particular secret school. This is where we can talk about a secret society. Most secret societies are secret societies because they work with beings that are beyond this world. They were founded and are guarded by these beings, right? And we are not talking about spirit entities here. We are talking actual physical non-human entities or alien beings. In the old times, people who were taken by these entities would sometimes come back very sick, physically and mentally, and so they would be taken to the healers, and the healer would be the first to find out that this person was taken by aliens. Some people would disappear for days or for much longer periods. And obviously, their families would be concerned, and they would soon contact a diviner or a seer to find out exactly what happened to their relative. The diviner would then be the first to find that this person is still alive, but he or she has been taken by the aliens. In this way, healers and seers would work closely with cases of alien abduction. And sometimes the victims of these alien abductions would be initiated into the larger mysteries of these entities, where now they would be told more about the knowledge of the beings that took them. They would be told more knowledge about the beings that took them. They would be given more knowledge about other star beings that they don't even know about. Right? After this, they would then belong to a secret group of people who have also undergone the same processes. Bakhanyiselwa, we've come to the end of our video, but just for a quick recap, we said that this cloth is for those initiates who get taken underwater for initiation. They go underwater and they come back initiated. In its broader form, this cloth is for those who generally get taken. They may be taken by the mountains, they can be taken by the water, caves, bush, etc. These initiates are usually taken by alien beings, the gods, to be initiated directly by them. Such initiates will usually belong to a secret society. On the other hand, we are all being initiated underwater as humanity, and all the initiations we've spoken about so far are very much happening underwater. If you are initiated by these beings, by these underwater beings, I must remind you that you must be very careful. Please guys, these beings are not here to play. Let me just leave it at that. So bakhanyiselwa, this cloth is a very sacred cloth. It does have its own mysteries, it does have its own gifts, it has its own burdens, and it has its own initiation. We have come to the end of our video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Ciao.